In the year 2147, Earth was no longer just a blue planet floating in the vastness of space. It had become a hub of activity, a place where humans lived alongside advanced technology and constant contact with alien civilizations. For decades, the Interstellar Council, an alliance of powerful alien species, had governed Earth, claiming to guide humanity toward progress and peace. But beneath the shiny surface of this partnership, resentment brewed. Ethan Carter, a tall man with sharp eyes and a quiet determination, stood at the center of this growing unrest. Once an engineer working on projects approved by the Council, Ethan had grown disillusioned over time. He saw how the Council took more than it gave, draining Earth's resources while offering little in return. What started as whispers of discontent among his friends soon turned into something much bigger when the Council made its final mistake. It began with the announcement that shocked the entire planet. The Council declared they would seize control of Earth's last remaining natural resource reserves. These reserves were vital for survival, especially after centuries of environmental damage caused by both human activity and alien interference. Without them, humanity would struggle to sustain itself. People watched in horror as massive alien machines descended from the skies, ripping through forests and drilling into mountainsides. The Council didn't even bother to ask permission. They simply took what they wanted. For Ethan, this was the breaking point. He couldn't stand by any longer. Gathering a small group of trusted friends, he decided to act. Among them was MIA. Lewis, a soft-spoken linguist who knew several alien languages. She had once worked closely with the Council, but left after realizing their promises of equality were empty words. Then there was Lucas King, a farmer whose family land had been taken without warning or compensation. His anger matched Ethan's, though he expressed it differently with clenched fists and fiery speeches. Together, they formed a movement called Silent Resolve. The idea was simple, yet bold. Humanity would refuse to communicate with the Council until their demands were met. No negotiations, no transmissions, nothing. Just silence. At first, many thought the plan was foolish. How could ignoring the most powerful force in the galaxy possibly work? But Ethan believed otherwise. He argued that the Council thrived on control, and if humanity stopped playing their game, the Council would have no choice but to listen. Word spread quickly. Social media platforms lit up with hashtags like #SilentResolve and #NoMoreCouncil. Protests erupted in cities around the world, with people holding signs that read, "We are not your subjects, and leave our planet alone." Even those who weren't directly involved felt the shift in the air. Something about the simplicity of the message resonated deeply. Humanity, for the first time in years, felt united. The Council noticed immediately. Their ships hovered above major cities, broadcasting messages urging humans to resume communication. Alien diplomats spoke calmly, promising solutions if only humanity would talk. But Ethan and his followers held firm. Every attempt to break the silence failed. Chloe Bennett, a young hacker recruited by Ethan, intercepted the Council's signals and replaced them with static. Her actions frustrated the aliens further, proving that humanity wasn't as helpless as they assumed. As days turned into weeks, the tension grew thicker. The Council tried different tactics, cutting off energy supplies to key regions in an effort to force compliance. Instead of weakening resolve, however, these moves only strengthened it. Communities came together, sharing what little they had. Underground networks sprang up, ensuring that essential goods reached those in need. Ethan became a symbol of hope, his face appearing on posters and screens everywhere. Despite the challenges, Ethan remained focused. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also knew one thing for certain. Humanity had been pushed too far, and now, for the first time in generations, they were standing up not with weapons or violence, but with unity and silence. As the resistance grew stronger, the need for better organization became clear. Ethan Carter knew that humanity couldn't rely solely on scattered efforts and individual bravery. They needed a network, a web of connections that could keep communities safe, share resources, and prepare for whatever the Council might do next. With this in mind, he called a meeting with his closest allies to plan the next phase of their fight. Mia Lewis had been working tirelessly to decode alien technology, but her breakthrough came unexpectedly. While examining a damaged piece of equipment salvaged from an abandoned Council outpost, she noticed something unusual, a pattern in the signals it emitted. At first it seemed like random noise, but after hours of analysis, Mia realized it was part of a larger system. "This isn't just a tool," she explained to Ethan and Chloe, her voice tinged with excitement. "It's a node in their communication grid. If we can map it out, we might be able to disrupt their entire network." Chloe immediately saw the potential. "If we take out their comms, they'll be blind," she said, her fingers already flying across her keyboard. "We can make them think twice about pushing us further." Together, Mia and Chloe began mapping the Council's communication pathways, identifying weak points where they could strike. It was risky work. Any misstep could alert the aliens, but the reward would be worth it. Meanwhile, Lucas King continued to strengthen the underground supply lines. He worked with farmers, traders, and volunteers to create hidden routes that zigzagged across continents. These paths connected remote villages to urban centers, ensuring no one was left behind. In one particularly daring operation, Lucas led a convoy through a narrow mountain pass to deliver medical supplies to a city blockaded by the Council. The journey was perilous, with alien drones patrolling the skies above, but Lucas's team moved quietly and efficiently. When they finally arrived, the grateful citizens greeted them with cheers and renewed hope. Olivia Grant focused on training more recruits, expanding her efforts beyond basic defense tactics. She taught groups how to build fortifications using whatever materials were available: wooden planks, scrap metal, even old tires. "Every little bit helps," she reminded them. "Even if it's just slowing them down, it gives us time to adapt." Her lessons weren't just practical, also boosted morale. People who once felt powerless now walked taller, knowing they had the skills to protect themselves and their neighbors. The Council, sensing the growing strength of the resistance, intensified its pressure. Alien patrols became more frequent, sweeping through towns and seizing anything of value. In some places, they even attempted to bribe locals into betraying silent resolve. But these offers fell flat. Most people refused outright, while others used the opportunity to feed false information back to the Council. One such act of deception led to a group of alien envoys arriving at what they believed was a secret meeting point for resistance leaders. Instead, they found nothing but empty fields and a banner hanging from a nearby tree that read, "You can't break us." Daniel Hayes documented these acts of defiance, capturing stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. His latest film featured a young woman named Grace Miller, who had single-handedly sabotaged an alien supply depot by planting decoy signals that confused their drones. Her story inspired countless others to take action, no matter how small. Daniel's films were shown in makeshift theaters, shared online via encrypted channels, and even broadcast briefly on hijacked Council frequencies before being cut off. Ethan watched all of this unfold with quiet pride. Humanity wasn't just surviving, it was thriving under pressure. The Council's attempts to crush their spirit had only made them stronger. Still, Ethan knew complacency was dangerous. "We've done well so far," he told his team during one late-night strategy session, "but we can't let our guard down. This is just the beginning." By the end of the 4th month, Silent Resolve had transformed into something far greater than anyone had imagined. Underground networks stretched across the globe, connecting millions of people, united by a common goal. Decoded alien tech gave them new tools to fight back, while acts of courage and ingenuity kept spirits high. Though the Council still loomed large, Humanity had proven it wouldn't break easily. The silence remained unbroken, and within it lay a promise. Earth belonged to its people, and they would defend it with everything they had. The Council's patience was wearing thin. After weeks of silence from humanity, their frustration boiled over into action. Massive alien ships descended closer to Earth's surface, their sleek metallic hulls glinting ominously in the sunlight. Envoys broadcast messages across every frequency, urging humans to end their resistance and return to negotiations. "Your defiance serves no purpose," one alien ambassador declared in a calm but firm tone. "Speak with us, and we will find a solution." But the transmissions met only static. Humanity remained resolute. Ethan Carter watched as these events unfolded from a makeshift command center hidden beneath an old warehouse. Monitors displayed live feeds of alien activity, while maps on the walls marked supply routes and safe zones. Ethan's mind raced with strategies, knowing that the Council wouldn't stay passive for long. They had already cut off energy supplies to several major cities, plunging millions into darkness. Hospitals struggled to operate, and factories ground to a halt. Yet, instead of breaking morale, the blackouts ignited a fierce determination among the people. Chloe Bennett sat at her workstation, headphones clamped over her ears as she monitored the Council's communications. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, rerouting their signals and injecting static into their broadcasts. Every time the Council tried to reach out, Chloe ensured their words were drowned out. It was exhausting work, but she refused to slow down. "They think they can scare us into talking," she muttered to Mia Lewis, who sat nearby analyzing pieces of alien technology. "But we're not backing down." Mia nodded, her eyes fixed on a small device she had salvaged from a discarded alien probe. She believed it held clues about the Council's communication systems, and if she could crack its code, it might give humanity an edge. "If we can disrupt their networks completely," Mia said thoughtfully, "they'll lose control of their own messaging. That could buy us more time." Ethan listened intently, his brow furrowed. Time was something they desperately needed. Meanwhile, Lucas King worked tirelessly to keep communities fed and sheltered. In rural areas, farmers adapted to growing crops under cover of darkness, using solar-powered lights to mimic daylight. Others smuggled food through underground tunnels, avoiding detection by alien patrols. Lucas coordinated these efforts, ensuring that even the hardest-hit regions received aid. One evening, as he handed out bags of grain to a group of grateful villagers, a young boy approached him. "Do you think we'll win?" the boy asked hesitantly. Lucas knelt down, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We're already winning," he replied with a smile. "Because we're still standing." The Council struck back harder. In an attempt to force compliance, they targeted key infrastructure, disabling water purification plants and cutting off access to clean drinking water. Panic spread in some areas, but the resistance responded quickly. Volunteers dug wells by hand, reviving ancient techniques to ensure survival. Engineers rigged filtration systems from spare parts, proving that human ingenuity could overcome almost anything. Olivia Grant trained new recruits daily, teaching them how to defend themselves, without relying on advanced weapons. Using tools like farming implements and scavenged materials, she showed them how to create traps and barricades. "We don't need fancy tech to fight back," she told her students. "We just need courage and teamwork." Her lessons inspired confidence, turning ordinary citizens into capable defenders of their homes. Despite the hardships, moments of unity continued to shine through. In one city, residents painted murals on crumbling walls, depicting scenes of hope and resilience. Images of hands clasped together, fields of wheat swaying in the wind, and stars shining brightly above Earth served as reminders of why they were fighting. These symbols of solidarity spread across social media platforms, reaching corners of the globe where the struggle felt most isolating. As the third month drew to a close, Ethan gathered his team to assess their progress. The Council's attempts to break humanity's resolve had failed so far, but everyone knew tougher challenges lay ahead. Still, Ethan couldn't help but feel proud. Humanity had faced oppression before, but this time, they were facing it together. Silent resolve wasn't just a movement, it was a testament to the strength of a united people. And though the road ahead remained uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity would not go quietly into the night. Ethan Carter's movement, Silent Resolve, was gaining momentum faster than anyone had anticipated. People from all walks of life joined the cause, driven by a shared sense of anger and hope. Ethan spent his days traveling across the globe, meeting with leaders of local resistance groups and coordinating efforts to keep humanity united. Each new face he met reinforced his belief that this fight wasn't just about resources. It was about dignity. Mia Lewis played a crucial role in keeping the movement organized. Her knowledge of alien languages allowed her to decipher intercepted messages from the Council, giving the Resistance valuable insights into their plans. Sitting in dimly lit rooms filled with humming computers, Mia worked tirelessly alongside Chloe Bennett, the young hacker who had become an indispensable part of the team. Together, they monitored alien communications, ensuring that humanity stayed one step ahead. Lucas King, meanwhile, focused on building networks to support communities affected by the Council's actions. His family farm might have been lost, but he channeled his grief into action. With help from volunteers, Lucas set up supply routes to deliver food and medicine to areas hit hardest by shortages. Farmers like him began growing crops in hidden locations, away from prying eyes. It wasn't easier, sources were scarce, and the work was back-breaking, but the determination to survive kept them going. The Council's frustration grew with each passing day. Their ships still hovered over Earth, broadcasting pleas for dialogue, but no one responded. The silence was deafening, and it unnerved them. For years, they had treated humanity as a lesser species, expecting obedience without question. Now, faced with resistance, they didn't know how to react. Alien diplomats tried reaching out through intermediaries, offering concessions, if only humanity would agree to talk. But Ethan refused to budge. He knew that any form of negotiation at this point would weaken their position. To counter the Council's attempts to sway public opinion, Daniel Hayes, a filmmaker with a passion for storytelling, began documenting the struggles of ordinary people. Using handheld cameras and drones, he captured raw footage of families struggling to survive, farmers working under the cover of night, and protesters standing firm against alien forces. His films showed the world not just what humanity was fighting against, but what it was fighting for: freedom, unity, and self-determination. These documentaries spread like wildfire, inspiring even more people to join the cause. In small towns and bustling cities alike, screenings were held in secret, often in basements or abandoned buildings. Viewers left with tears in their eyes and fire in their hearts, ready to do whatever it took to protect their planet. The Council's propaganda, which once dominated airwaves, now seemed hollow in comparison. As the weeks passed, Ethan realized that sustaining the movement required more than just defiance. They needed a plan to defend themselves if the Council decided to escalate. Olivia Grant, a former soldier with sharp instincts and steady hands, stepped forward to train volunteers in basic combat skills. She taught them how to use makeshift weapons and set traps, preparing for the possibility of an invasion. Though many were scared, they trained with unwavering focus. Knowing their survival depended on it, despite the challenges, moments of hope shone through. In one instance, a group of children in a rural village created banners reading, "We are silent, we are strong," and hung them from trees near an alien outpost. When the Council's envoys arrived, they found the banners fluttering in the wind, a silent yet powerful message. Stories like these reminded Ethan and his team why they were fighting, not just for themselves, but for future generations. By the end of the second month, Silent Resolve had transformed from a small group of activists into a global phenomenon. Humanity had found its voice, even if it chose not to speak. The Council, used to wielding power effortlessly, now faced a force they couldn't easily crush: unity. And though the battle was far from over, Ethan felt a glimmer of optimism. For the first time in decades, humanity was standing together, refusing to bow to anyone. The Council's frustration reached a boiling point. For months, humanity had refused to speak, defying every attempt to force communication. Their silence was deafening, and it infuriated the alien leaders. Desperate to regain control, they launched a massive propaganda campaign aimed at breaking the unity of Silent Resolve. Alien ships beamed images and videos down to Earth, showing humans living happily under the Council's rule. Smiling faces, thriving cities, and peaceful interactions between species filled the screens. The message was clear: submit to the Council, and life would improve. But Ethan Carter and his team were ready for this. They knew the Council would try to manipulate public opinion, and Daniel Hayes had already prepared a counterattack, using footage gathered from across the globe. Daniel created a series of documentaries that exposed the truth behind the Council's promises. In one film, viewers saw alien machines tearing through lush forests, leaving barren wastelands in their wake. Another showed families huddled together in makeshift shelters after their homes were destroyed by the Council's resource seizures. Daniel's voice narrated the scenes calmly but firmly. "This is not peace," he said. "This is exploitation. We are not their equals. We are their tools." These films spread rapidly, shared through underground networks and encrypted channels. People watched them in secret, often gathering in basements or abandoned buildings to avoid detection. Each screening ended with renewed determination. The Council's polished propaganda couldn't compete with the raw honesty of Daniel's work. "They're lying to us," Grace Miller, the young woman who had sabotaged an alien supply depot, told her neighbors after watching one of the films. "We can't let them win." Mia Lewis continued her work on alien technology, making steady progress. She and Chloe Bennett had mapped out large sections of the Council's communication grid, identifying critical nodes that could disable entire systems if targeted. "If we hit these points," Mia explained during a meeting with Ethan, pointing to a diagram on the wall, "we can shut down their broadcasts for hours or even days." Ethan nodded thoughtfully. Disrupting the Council's ability to spread misinformation would deal a significant blow to their efforts. Meanwhile, Lucas King focused on strengthening the underground economy. Bartering became the norm in many areas, with people trading goods and services instead of relying on the Council-controlled currency. Farmers exchanged fresh produce for handmade clothing, while mechanics repaired broken equipment in return for meals. This system kept communities alive and self-sufficient, reducing their dependence on the Council's resources. "We don't need them," Lucas reminded everyone. "We have each other." Olivia Grant trained more volunteers, teaching them advanced tactics to defend against potential attacks. Her lessons included setting traps, using everyday items like fishing wire and barrels, as well as creating smoke screens to confuse alien patrols. "Every little advantage counts," she told her students. "Even something as simple as noise can scare them off." Her confidence inspired others, giving them the courage to stand their ground. The Council grew increasingly desperate. When their propaganda failed to sway public opinion, they resorted to threats. Alien envoys delivered warnings over hijacked human radio frequencies, promising severe consequences if humanity didn't resume communication. But these threats only hardened resolve. Ethan addressed a group of resistance members one evening, his voice steady and unwavering. "They want us to fear them," he said, "but fear won't stop us. We've come too far to give up now." As the 5th month drew to a close, humanity remained united. Silent Resolve wasn't just a movement anymore, it was a way of life. People adapted, innovated, and supported one another, proving that strength came not from weapons or technology, but from unity. The Council's attempts to divide and conquer had backfired spectacularly. Instead of breaking humanity, they had forged it into something stronger. Ethan stood outside the warehouse one night, gazing up at the stars. The alien ships still hovered above Earth, their lights casting faint shadows on the ground. He felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that, despite everything, humanity had held its ground. The silence continued, unbroken and defiant, and within it lay a promise. No matter what happened next, Earth's people would face it together.